This is the Samsung Galaxy S20 FE in its 5G version, and it's a really great choice if you're looking to buy an Android phone this year. But it's not a perfect phone, and in this review we're going to break it down. Where I want to start the review though of the phone is with the 4G versus the 5G, because I've had both phones. And the main questions aren't really about the network speeds, but more about things like battery life, performance, and camera quality. That's because some of the 4G models have an Equinox chip, whereas this 5G version has a Snapdragon processor. Now, I've only had the 4G model for about 24 hours because, again, I was sold the wrong phone. But for my testing of the 4G phone, and now using this for several weeks, there is no difference. I mean, when I had the 4G phone, I barely charged it because, again, I didn't have it that long, but the battery lasted. And also the performance is really good. And I think the image quality is pretty much the same for my testing, and I did a really in-depth video about that. So I don't think there's a difference between the 4G and the 5G version. Again, with the 4G version, the battery life on it was really good for the amount of time I've had it. Now, for the 5G version, because that's the one I have been using for several weeks, I can be more definitive, right? So the battery life on this is actually really good. So I use this as my daily driver. I do not use my iPhone. And there have been days where I've not had to charge the phone. Like the phone has gone like a day without charging. That's how good the battery life has been. Now, I'm not an intense smartphone user, like I'm not on it 8 hours a day, like I'm just your regular user, social media, images, camera, and it charges really fast with USB-C. So when you do plug it in, it charges relatively quickly. I also like how it tells you how long it will take to charge. That is a really nice feature. So we are now testing out the 5G speeds. We obviously got the Samsung phone here, and I have a new 5G SIM card. 3 in Ireland have just launched their 5G network. So here I am trying to get 5G coverage. I'm in a town that should have 5G. I'm outside of the shopping centre, so I am in the town square. And yet, no 5G on the phone. What's up with that, Samsung and/or 3? I don't know what to tell you. I've got 4G Plus, and that's very fast. 30 megabytes download, 20 megabytes upload. But nowhere near the 5G speeds that we were being promised. Alright, I just got a text message that says my 5G booster has been applied. I bought it in the phone shop. And I took about 20 minutes to get the text message. Still no 5G. I have no idea what's going on. Speeds are looking faster though. We're getting about 56 megabytes. So maybe the 5G is slowly being put onto the phone. So we're in the same town, in another area, and yet we still don't have any 5G coverage. It's still 4G plus LTE, not 5G. So yes, we still got fast speeds with 50 megabyte download, but this 5G coverage is seeming a little bit elusive. So I just got in from outside. I actually walked around, no 5G coverage, still 4G plus. So on that note, when it comes to making your purchasing decision, I'm kind of recommending most people get the 4G model, unless you 100% know you have 5G service in your area, because there's really no other differences. I wouldn't go and buy the extra, spend the extra on the 5G for the idea of better battery life, because it's a Snapdragon processor. Do not do that. That they're basically identical from my testing anyway. Now, if you upgrade your phone every 2 years, that rings especially true. I wouldn't go and invest now, particularly because I believe in 2 years' time, you won't be paying extra for a 5G phone. I think it'll be just standard. However, if you're someone who holds onto their phone for several years, for example, my mum has still the iPhone 6 from 2014, then yes, it is worth investing in the 5G model, because in about 2 or 3 years' time, your area most likely will have 5G service. The performance is basically identical. The 120Hz screen works really well on both the 4G and the 5G version. Do not buy the 5G version if you do not need it. When it comes to construction quality and finish, I'm so happy to report that I really like the plastic back on this. I actually really like it, especially in the white color. The white color is such a treat. Now, I have a glass iPhone. It's super premium, but because it's glass, I never wear it naked. Like, I put it in an OtterBox, whereas because this is plastic, I actually feel really confident leaving it naked. I mean, it doesn't scratch, it looks really good, and it's really lightweight. I mean, it feels premium, it does not feel cheap. And that's something to consider, because I know a lot of people have reservations and they feel like, oh, if it's plastic, it might feel cheap. This feels like a premium phone to me. On the flip side though, I've used this phone for less than a month and I'm just shocked by how many scratches there are on the phone. Shocked. I mean, I haven't been to many places and I've been babying the phone because, again, these are review units. When I'm done with this, it goes to a new home. I don't keep these. so I make sure to protect them, and it's just covered in scratches. I mean, I don't even carry car keys because I'm not going anywhere. I genuinely don't know how it got scratched, and this is supposed to be Gorilla Glass 3. And clearly Gorilla Glass 3 means nothing because this is covered in scratches. If you buy one of these, you will need to put a tempered glass cover onto it, no question about it. Now, as for cameras on the S20 FE, obviously the wide will be anyone's favorite. It's the default camera, it's the one that Samsung put the most amount of time into. The wide angle is great. Now, I did a full in-depth video about the camera system and I kind of hinted at it in the video, but I really didn't like the ultra wide because it desaturated the image. It did not look particularly good at nighttime. It didn't let in a lot of light. I wouldn't use the ultra wide lens, to tell you the truth, if I had this phone full time. But as bad as that sounds, I'm so happy to report that the telephoto lens on this is awesome. The telephoto lens on this phone is really good and it matches the wide angle lens extremely well. Like, they look like they're from the same lens company, whereas the ultra wide is just like a completely different kettle of fish. So if you're like a photographer and you want your images to match a different focal lengths, the telephoto will match the wide. I was really impressed with that. So if you have any concerns about it being 8 megapixels and not 12, megapixels do not matter. I was really impressed with how the telephoto lens performed on this phone. That said though, I do feel like the mantra at Samsung should be quality over quantity, because if they got rid of the ultra wide, they probably could have put better cameras into this phone and they might have had something really special there. But I want to make it very clear that the wide and telephoto lens are deserving of flagship quality. These are really good cameras. Now, something I really want to talk about on this phone is of course the 120Hz screen and the built-in fingerprint sensor. Those were two key features I was really excited about when I first got the phone. Now, after weeks of testing, I can report that only one of those things works really well, and that is the 120Hz screen. It is phenomenal. That's the only way to describe it. It is so smooth. It makes the phone feel so much faster, even if the processor is comparable to its, to its peers that have a 60Hz screen. The motion of 120Hz makes your phone feel so fluid. Opening up all these apps just seems so quick, and there's just no way getting around it. I will not be getting a new iPhone this year, specifically because there's not a 120Hz screen. Seeing this, I cannot go back to 60Hz or buy something with 60Hz on a phone. 120Hz is something everybody needs. It's just fantastic. And that brings us to the question, because I got a comment about this. Should I get the Samsung Galaxy S10 or the S20 FE? Between the two, definitely get the S20 FE, because you're going to get so much more out of the 120Hz screen than you would out of megapixels, superficial megapixels. You're not selling your photos to National Geographic. It's a phone camera anyway, so it's not going to look like a DSLR. You're going to get so much more enjoyment out of a 120Hz screen than you will out of a few extra megapixels. But unfortunately, the same thing cannot be said about the fingerprint sensor. So that actually worked for me there, but in actual practice, it works about half the time, and that's being really generous. I was really excited about the fingerprint sensor because now obviously we're all wearing face masks and it's really annoying to enter your PIN code 100 times when you're walking out and about. So I was super excited. However, this barely works for me, especially like if there's elements, like if there's even a bit of rain, it screws the whole thing up. There's no other way to describe it. It's not reliable, and there's also in some cases such a latency, it's just much quicker to enter your PIN code. Sometimes it takes a good few seconds for the finger to recognize itself on the phone. I've scanned my fingers over and over to train it. I don't know if this is representative of all screen fingerprint sensors built into the screens on phones. This is the only one I've ever used that was built into the screen. But it almost makes me understand why Apple did not put one into the iPhone 12, because maybe Apple wasn't able to crack the technology either. It just isn't a great experience. I mean, if you don't get that thing perfect on the fingerprint sensor, it will not turn on. The good news though is that overall performance of the phone is great. 4G and 5G, it had no issues doing day-to-day tasks, and again, powering that amazing 120Hz screen. I'm really happy with how Android is evolving. I think now it's getting better and better, and with the 120Hz screen and all the other bells and whistles that Samsung has put into this phone, it does start to feel like it's in league now. Finally, after all these years with the iPhone, they truly do seem more and more like peers, whereas I personally believed like years ago it was a tier below, but now with the 120Hz screen, the fact that even the Samsung Galaxy UI interface that they put on top of the Google one, like it's getting better. Like it looks really nice. I've had no problem using the Samsung services. Even transferring my information from the iPhone to the Samsung phone was really seamless, although it did take a long time. So now it's time for the $1 million question. Should you buy the Samsung Galaxy S20 FE? Well, on this channel, I will never tell you what to buy because only you know yourself more than yourself. I mean, I don't know anything about you, but I will say this. If you're in the market for a really great Android phone, this is a really great Android phone. I mean, it's superb. It's really great. It's a flagship phone that's not too expensive. So if that's something you think you might be interested in, I'd really recommend this. Now, I have to say the market is very competitive. You have other manufacturers like OnePlus that are also making really great phones. But if you saw the feature list of this and you really like what it has to offer, I think you will be very happy with this phone. But for my own personal recommendations, to summarize, I'd get the 4G version, not the 5G, because I didn't see any performance difference. And again, I had 5G coverage issues. And also, if you get one, please, for the love of God, buy a tempered glass protective cover for it, because this thing scratches so easily. But again, if you're looking for a really good quality Android phone, I'm so happy to report that the S20 FE is a really great one. It has great performance, and again, you know, the 120Hz screen is killer because it makes using the phone really enjoyable. And enjoyable isn't an adjective I've used to describe a smartphone in so many years, not even the iPhones. Just scrolling through Instagram and just even basic things is just so enjoyable with the 120Hz screen. This is a really great phone. So that's my review of the Samsung Galaxy S20 FE. It's a great phone, not perfect, but really great. If that's helped you make a purchasing decision, do leave a comment below and let me know if you're planning on getting one, or if you have any last questions for me. But other than that, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to stay tuned for future technology videos, and I hope you guys stay safe and well. See you all in my next video. Bye.